Peace to Allah's sons and daughters, his 5% nation, the great gods and earths, my brothers and sisters. Thank you once again for your time and energy. I come to you in the divine name of I Am Powerful Allah. The title for this presentation is Making Trouble Amongst the Righteous. In this, I will dive into the long-standing intricacies of troublemaking within the 5% nation and expound on the dire need for improvement as it pertains to structure, discipline, conduct, democracy, and the execution of justice. Using the culture degree in the 1 through 14 as my primary point of reference to build this framework, I will show and prove the potential disastrous elements forming within our infrastructure and propose a comprehensive approach to addressing the above mentioned. Let's begin. The culture degree in the 1 through 14 leads with the question, why did we run Yaqub and his maid devil from the root of civilization across the hot Arabian desert into the caves of West Asia, as they now call Europe? If you studied well enough, then you know that Yaqub didn't live to see his idea be brought to life. It took 600 years to make or graft the devil, according to the teachings. Yaqub died before the completion of the first 200 years of grafting. Therefore, it's not possible to run Yaqub and his maid devil from the root of civilization at the same time. This means that there are two separate instances of exile being discussed here. Let's go deeper. The first run, Yaqub, the bringer of change, the surplus, the originator of the problem. You must discover and eliminate the root of the problem. Now, it's important to note that Yaqub himself was never technically exiled. According to the teachings, a deal was made that Mecca would financially support Yaqub for 20 years to conduct his experiments elsewhere. This was done because of how much attention and traction that he was gaining in Mecca and all the disturbances that he was causing. We'll also discuss that key point later on in the presentation. The second one is the devil, which is any man made weak and wicked, or any live grafted germ from original is devil. You must also eliminate others who sided with the originator and spoke his or her language, which is, of course, lies. Since Allah returned to the essence in 1969, it's safe to say that a multitude of factions within the 5% nation have taken root and sprouted. There's Allah's 5% nation, the 5%ers, the Nation of Gods and Earths, or commonly known as NGE, and there's even a sect called Muslim Gods, all claiming to wave the same flag. Well, my lessons say this and my lessons say that. Sheesh. Who is the cause of all this trouble being made amongst the righteous? How much more lying, stealing, manipulating, and deceit will be allowed to take place in the name of Allah? Who is acting as the medium for this falsehood to spread and influence minds? Let's observe the answer in the degree to attempt to address the above. Because he started making trouble amongst the righteous people. First, let's define what a righteous person is. Righteous people are morally upright and virtuous individuals who act with justice, kindness, and integrity. This concept is especially prominent in culture, religious, and/or spiritual contexts, where a righteous person not only follows ethical principles, but also adheres to divine laws and commands. The term implies a person who does what is morally right, both in their dealings with others and their relationship with God or a higher spiritual power. In short, these people do not want any trouble. To make trouble means to intentionally create difficulties, disturbances, or conflicts for others, disrupting the normal flow of events in a social, professional, or personal context. The trouble created can range from minor annoyances to more significant issues. Now, we have seen a number of instances where people come to intentionally attempt to derail the motion that we make. They'll say peace and pretend to respect the culture, all while making mockery and calling it pseudoscience. Or they'll try to convince our women that we don't value them and that somehow being the earth is a lessened position, and another example of misogynistic behavior within our culture. These are examples of people making trouble amongst the righteous from the outside in. However, we also have those within the culture who are practitioners of the same activity. Allah didn't teach this. Allah didn't teach that. Some of the elders have even gone so far as to develop their own cult-like following within the nation. To them, no one can be Allah, other than the one man who passed away in 1969. To this I say, emphatically now, Cypher, that's worship. In 2025, there is no longer one body governed by supreme mathematics. Instead, lineage, self-styled wisdom, and understanding has taken precedence over the knowledge and wisdom that got us all here in the first place. Accusing them of telling lies. Accusations have a profound and often devastating impact, causing severe emotional distress, long-lasting mental health issues like PTSD, financial ruin through lost income, and permanent damage to personal and professional reputations. The repercussions extend to family who experience stress and strain and can even lead to a legal and criminal penalty for the wrongly accused. Conversely, accusers can face consequences themselves for their false claim. Have you ever heard of being guilty in the court of public opinion? To be found guilty in the court of public opinion means that the general populace has judged the person or entity to be at fault for wrongdoing, regardless of the official outcome of any legal proceedings. This informal judgment is formed and amplified by news medias and social platforms, which do not operate under the same rules of evidence and procedures as official courts of law. In this nation, we say, word is bond, and bond means life, and I will give my life before my word shall fail. Yeah, sounds good, right? Well, unfortunately, too many of us have not upheld such an honorable creed, so our words don't hold the same value they once held. Brothers lying to each other, sisters lying to each other, gods lying to the earth, earth's lying on the God. When will it stop? Causing them to fight and kill one another. External false accusations intended to create trouble can cause profound internal conflict by eroding trust, manipulating emotions, and undermining cohesion within a person, a group, or an organization. The fabricated narrative forces the target to question their reality and relationships, creating a dilemma between defending themselves against an outside threat and managing the ensuing internal chaos. How many ciphers have suffered because gods had a personal disagreement? How many gods stopped coming around because a brother stole from them and everybody knew about it, yet no justice was served? How many earths were victims of domestic violence and sought refuge with their so-called brothers but were met with a cold shoulder? We must take an honest look in the mirror and decide what kind of a nation are we really striving to become. Yaqub was an original man and father of the devil. He taught them to do this devilishment. We follow ideas the same way we do children. All that is necessary is a medium for it to be executed. It's important to emphasize that Yaqub was one of us. Not only was he an original man, but he was a scientist with the gift of persuasion. I say this to say, rarely is it a stranger that fathers devilishment into your life. It's one of your own. Your own people are the only ones who can convince others to stand against you. How? Because they're close enough to you for outsiders to believe their lies about you and take them on face value. Allah himself is quoted as saying, "The only one that can hurt me is a 5%er," only saying that Those people that you love and trust have the ability to do real damage to your character, your name, and even your life itself. The root of civilization is in Arabia at the holy city of Mecca, which means where knowledge and wisdom of the original man started when the planet was first found. We, original people, are naturally peaceful people at the root, the core. When a naturally peaceful person is pushed to question their reality due to trouble and accusations made, the experience can be deeply destabilizing and traumatic. This often involves tactics like gaslighting, where a manipulator makes the victim doubt their own senses, perceptions, and memories. For a person who values peace, such a situation forces a collision between their core values about trust and safety and the conflicting information they're receiving, leading to severe psychological distress. We ran the devil across the hot Arabian desert and took everything from him except the language. What is exile? Traditionally, the parameters of exile in a cultural or territorial context involve involuntary displacement, a profound loss of identity, a longing for a home, and the establishment of misplaced cultural spaces. While the specific conditions vary by era, offense, and motivation, the core parameters remain consistent across historical and cultural contexts. As a nation, we need to establish our own universal agreement and understanding of exile. In my own Quran, I've witnessed many people be exiled, only to still be embraced by those who grew fond of them during their time amongst the righteous. This weakens the power of the exile. So I say, all those who choose to associate with the exile must also be exiled. We must begin to establish a form of order within this nation if we are going to move in a good, orderly direction. We can no longer turn a blind eye to the unrighteous acts that are committed in the name of Allah. We have lied to one another. We have stolen from one another. We have falsely accused each other. We have fought each other unjustifiably. We have permitted domestic violence, adultery, child abuse. The list is long and is truly unacceptable. It doesn't matter if that's your man's, if he's wrong. It doesn't matter if that's your sissy, if she's wrong. This nation is all wise and does everything right and exact. So I propose that we establish some form of government within this nation on a local, regional, and national level. So the concept of this is personal will no longer be a license for unrighteousness. He went savage and lived in the caves of Europe. As stated in the wisdom degree in the 1 through 14, a savage is a person who has lost all knowledge of himself and is living the beast way of life. This is how people can change up on you after being confronted or exposed and try to rally others against you by maintaining a negative perception of you, even when they were the one in the wrong. Now that is a savage in the pursuit of happiness. A righteous person, someone with true knowledge of self, would never do this. This was 6,919 years ago. Let's break that math down. 6 plus 0 plus 1 plus 9 will give you 16, as in the 16th degree. The 16th degree in the 1 through 40 asks, who are the 5% on this poor part of the planet Earth? And the 16th degree in the 1 through 36 states, I beg your pardon, I've never heard of one. You cannot be a savage and a 5%er at the same time. This means that your equality in this cipher must go from knowledge to born. The balance and the fairness that we uphold does not stop at 6 for you, Earth, nor does it stop at 7 for you, God. You must go from 1 to 9, or your selfishness can and will destroy you. How to live a respectful way of life. A respectful way of life is one that recognizes the inherent worth and dignity of all people and living things and is guided by kindness, empathy, and integrity. This practice requires both self-respect and the conscious effort to treat others with consideration and care. For example, a respectful way of life is honesty, effective communication, positive conflict resolution, keeping your word, healthy boundaries, and understanding differences. The opposite of that would be disrespectful, dishonesty, miscommunication, unwarranted violence, breaking your word, unhealthy boundaries, and exploitation. So ask yourself, is your way of life respectful? How to build a home for yourself. The planet Earth is the home of Islam, and Islam is mathematics. So listen, to the gods, let's treat these women as though we know and understand just how vital they are to the stability of our family structure and the future of our nation. Too many sisters share the same stories of abuse and deception that they have experienced while dealing with the 5%. And if we truly know and understand that the woman is the first teacher, then perhaps we may want to rethink how we are behaving. My sisters, you're not off the hook. I advise you to not be so naive and blind to the reality when it's presented to you. Know the difference between being taught and being drawn up. For many, this happens in a fine mist that the naked eye can hardly detect until it's too late. Build a home for yourself. A home is a safe space, a place where you can be yourself unapologetically, meaning everyone living righteously should feel safe and at home in this nation. Take accountability for your actions. Remember when I said earlier that we'll discuss the key point of Yaqub never being in exile later on? Well, now is that time. Do you see why? Does it make sense? Oftentimes, those who father the devilishment that we endure are not exiled, i.e. held accountable for the trouble that they've caused. The people who share their erroneous, misleading, and egocentric and often misogynistic views continue daily to make it harder for each of us to reach our goal as a nation. We must cut the head of the deceivers and the enablers, because if allowed to live, they will surely try to destroy someone else. Thank you for your time.